welcome to another video. So if you've seen my 2021 planner lineup, you might recognize this journal as the one that I said I was going to do long form journaling in, and that's still the case, but I wanted to add something to it that would make me check in with it regularly. And so I had that idea in my head that I wanted to use it for just a little bit more than just journaling kind of whenever. And I had the issue where the year is coming to an end and I had to think about whether I wanted to set any goals for 2021 and how I wanted to do that. Now for 2020, I used the power sheets for the first third, almost half of the year, and then COVID happened, I moved, and I just completely stopped using them. And there are multiple reasons for that, in addition to just a suddenly changing schedule. But what it came down to was that there were parts of the power sheets that I really liked and found very valuable, especially a lot of the prep work. And then there were parts of it that I didn't really want. It was a little too much. And I looked for lots of things. I looked and considered the Moxie Life kind of companion notebook thingies. But ultimately what I decided I wanted to do was to take the things that I liked about the power sheets and put them into this journal so that I could still use the prompts that I enjoyed from the prep work, regularly check in and set up monthly spreads for it, kind of like a bullet journal but for goals, with some journaling mixed in, depending on how I was feeling. So that's what I'm doing here. I have my florals, I think it's Fun Florals sticker book to add accents, and on the very first page while I was talking, I set up 2021 goal ideas, which is one of the first power sheets pages, with the prompt, what do you want to cultivate in the year ahead? What comes to mind as you think about 2021? What do you hope it will look like? And in my power sheets that I was following along with, this is for the next year. I think it says 2020, I'm not really sure. And I just adapted it for 2021. So I've pulled the things that I liked and I'm just moving them into this setup. I'm not going to go through my answers to these prompts. That is something that I'm going to do on my own. But I will take you through the pieces that I chose to put in here, how I chose to put them in, and then probably every now and again I will do a monthly kind of setup check-in video. I'm not sure how often I'll do that, but we'll see. I'll do at least one so you know for the monthly check-in piece of the power sheets which pieces I've adapted and decided to pull into this journal. And so this next page, I added that little sticker at the top just for decoration, and then I've pulled the section, what fires me up, with the prompt, what things, activities, or experiences fire up your heart and lead you to live with intention. I liked that exercise, so I pulled that in. This notebook, I don't know anything about the paper, like specs-wise, I don't know the paper weight or anything like that, but it held up quite nicely to most of my pens. So in this, I am using a 0.7mm Inkjoy gel pen. I use a Tombow Fudonosuke brush pen. I used some super tips, and I used some Erin Condren dual tip markers, which I find those can bleed sometimes, so I was pretty impressed by this paper overall. The next piece that I really enjoyed was this section called the Cultivated Life Evaluation. And in the power sheets, it's where you rate on a scale of, I think it's 1 to 10, different areas of your life and kind of talk about what is going on there. And so I really liked this piece and I knew I wanted to bring it in. So what I do here is I put the title at the top. I put some decoration up there. These flowers, there are 2 or 3 pages in the sticker book with very similar flowers, like the art style of the flowers are very similar. So I kept using those to kind of stick to a theme of some kind. And so there are 8 sections in the power sheets, and I mostly used those 8 sections. And so that means that I'm going to divide each side of my page into 4 quadrants. And I bought this sticker book at the very beginning of the year, and I didn't use nearly all of it. I mean, I'm pretty sure there are enough stickers here for a whole year's worth of power sheets usage and some extras, and I didn't even use my power sheets for the whole year. So there's definitely a lot of extra stickers that I have, and so I decided to tie them in just so they wouldn't go to waste and so that they could help me color code, because I did enjoy the color coding aspect of the power sheets. So here I'm trying to divide my pages up. It wasn't perfectly split in half. I think there's one more line given to the bottom half, but it's fine. I didn't count the lines before I wrote in my title at the top. Otherwise I might have made it one line taller, but it works out. So then I just use my ruler to divide this page into 4 quadrants, and I do the same thing to the other page on the other side. And I really liked this setup. I feel like the power sheets gave me a really good idea of a way to organize my goals and a way to approach looking at things, but they also had things in there that were just not for me. I think there's one writing prompt where they ask you to think about your year or your life 80 years from now, or 100, or when you are 80 years old or 100, and I'm like, I'm just really trying to work on starting a master's program sometime in the next year or 2. That's one of my biggest goals. That's where I am. I'm not thinking about what I want to be doing when I'm 80. I fully expect what I want to be doing when I'm 80 to change between now and when I actually am 80, and several times in between. So that kind of big picture scope of the power sheets was too big for me. I wanted something a little more narrow, and so I decided, rather than try to find another goal setting system, or rather than try to reuse the power sheets, this would be a much better alternative. So I got my quadrants drawn in, I pulled some flags for color coding, and now I'm going to letter in the headers. So here we've got health, friends. In the bottom right, SO stands for significant other. The prompt is spouse or significant other, so I just abbreviated because I didn't think I'd be able to fit significant other there. And then the green here is for family, the peach for finances, and then the yellow for work, the blue for recreation, and then I avoided the light red at the top right because it's technically for personal growth. That's the prompt in the power sheets, but I knew I was not going to be able to letter that in small enough for it to fit. So I just switched it to growth because that was shorter and I know what that means. So I put that up there. The power sheets has a scale 1 to 10, but I didn't add that in because when I come to actually do this piece, I will just add somewhere on the page my rating and then journal a little bit about what I'm thinking for these sections, what goals I may or may not want to set, and that kind of thing. And I decided to do this as a time-lapse and voiceover video because I didn't know when I started this what I was doing or how I wanted things to play out. So I definitely wanted to leave myself a lot of time to look through the sheets and make some lettering and do things slowly without having to worry about doing a ton of editing afterwards. You know, going in, cutting pieces out, fast forwarding some things, not fast forwarding others. And ultimately this is a pretty straightforward setup. I just want to show you what I did. So I did decide to do the time-lapse voiceover version of this video. I will probably do a talkthrough for a monthly setup to kind of mix it up. But yeah, now we're moving on to the next spread. So for this section, there was this prompts for things that you fear and how those fears are getting in the way of your goals and the things you want to do, and asking you to consider what would happen if you were able to overcome those fears. And it was really interesting. I haven't done any of the late in the year work for my power sheets, but while I was going through these prompts and trying to decide what I wanted to put into this journal, I did skim over some of the things that I wrote last year, almost a year ago, and it was interesting. I feel like I didn't check in with my power sheets a ton, but even so, a lot of the things that I wrote down a year ago were still relevant, and some of it I had worked on anyway. One of the things I really liked about the power sheets was that even if I didn't check in with them regularly, the amount of time and thought I put into some of the prep work really made me think about the things that were important to me this year and the things that I wanted to work on this year. And even if I didn't follow their organizational system for following through on those ideas, the thought process kept them in my mind. You know, I spent so much time with them, I realized how important they were, and at the end of it all, that stuck with me, and I was able to implement features of that into my life this year, even if things were crazy, and even if I wasn't keeping up with the daily habits and the weekly habits and the monthly goals and all the little things that the Power Sheets does later. Even if I didn't keep up with that, this front-loaded kind of prep work was so valuable. So that's why I really wanted to include that piece in particular this year, because I did enjoy that aspect of them. So here, the prompt is just moving past fear, and there are a few sections. I fear something because something, and so I just put in a few spaces so that I could fill in those blanks later. I kept misspelling the word because. I don't know why, it just really looked really awkward on the page, and so I kept thinking that I was misspelling it and it had to be spelled a different way, and then I was like, no, that's wrong, and then I had to white it out, which made my brown marker look a little weird, but it's okay. It's not like the biggest deal. And then the following prompt on the right hand page is, if I were to step into these fears and take action, I would feel ... And so that's just a section for me to journal. I also really liked setting up these goals pages in a notebook on my own, because I got to choose how much space I wanted. Sometimes the Power Sheets leave you like a whole page for something where I'm like, I really only have a couple of things to say. On the other hand, sometimes they gave you like short little lines where I wanted to be able to write more. And so while doing this setup, I was able to pick how much time I felt I wanted to spend on certain prompts and thinking about certain things. Alright, and then this spread here I really liked, and I kept it simple because I did want to have plenty of space to write. So I only put a couple of flowers down at the bottom for some accents, and at the top I pulled the prompt, what worked in the last year. And so this is just a space to kind of think about this year and the things that have gone well. And then oppositely, on the other side of the page, I have lettered in the prompt, what didn't work in the last year. So what things might need to get redone, revisited, changed up, etc. And I really wanted to make these two prompts on the same two-page spread so that I could see on one side versus the other. They are very opposite kind of prompts and ideas, and so I thought that it would be nice to be able to consider both at a glance together. I didn't have a color scheme for this, so that blue is honestly kind of, it stands out, but it's fine. On this page, we are working on lessons and gratitude. So for this section, I start the prompt at the top. I pulled the one that says lessons I learned, and then left a lot of space for that there. And I don't know why it's taking me so long to actually start lettering, but I finally do, and I'm using this blue Erin Condren dual tip brush pen. I've had these pens for a while. I think they're overpriced for what they do. Like, I'm not amazed by them. They're just a felt tip pen, but I bought them once when I got a teacher planner, I think, and thought that I would use them for color coding and never did. So they sit on in a cup on my desk, and sometimes I use them, such as for this setup. Alright, and so then some of the prompts that I left some space for at the bottom include what remains confusing, unanswered, or unsolved. That's a pretty open-ended prompt, but I liked it. I knew I wanted to go back and think about it. And then after that, despite this, what are you choosing to believe? Which is another open-ended prompt, but I also liked it. And I'm reaching for washi tape, which my washi drawers are what my cell phone holder bendy arm thingy rests on, so that's why the camera was very wobbly. But I pulled some of this book washi tape just to add something a little different. I kept it gold because there are gold accents in the florals that I've been using. And then on the right hand page, I pulled the prompt people I'm grateful for. There is a section in the Power Sheets where you list the people you're grateful for and why, and then it tells you to thank them and like actually reach out to them. I never did that piece. I don't know, I don't talk to many people and so I just didn't feel comfortable, at least last year, following through on that step. But that is the full prompt, at least in last year's version of the power sheets. I don't know what I'm going to do this year, but I did want to leave some space to kind of put together that list and think about those people. And then the next 2 pages I had fun with. I think of these 2 pages as like launching into the year, because ultimately after a lot of the initial prep work and once you set your goals, the power sheets takes you through like 8 or 10 pages of action plans, and I really did not like their action plan setup. It got a little too minute for the types of goals that I wanted to set, and it just didn't work. What I want out of a goal setting system is something that helps me decide what I want my goals to be, which I think that these first several prompt pages do very nicely, and then just a place to hold them so that I can occasionally go back and remember them. Because if I remember what I want to work on, I'm fairly good at working on it. I don't need lots of I don't need to break down the tasks in order to know how to start them. That's not where I struggle. Where I struggle is actually remembering what I wanted to work on. So like not getting so caught up in the day-to-day stuff of life and then never going back and actually working on things that I want to work on, because I'm focused so much on just finishing work for the day and going home, you know? So I have basically set up most of the pages at this point, and I wanted to use these 2 pages as a very like a cover page, really. So on the left hand side I have a brainstorm for a word of the year. I had fun picking a word of the year this past year. I did not go back to it as much as I would have wanted to. At the same time, the process of picking a word of the year really helped me. It still helped me do it, even if I didn't always go back to it. So my word of the year this year was whole, and I picked it because I wanted to focus on getting more of a balance between my personal life and my work/school life and my hobbies, and I wanted to feel like I could progress in those 3 main categories in a fairly balanced way. Because what really happens, especially the past several years, I get super anxious about work or school, and then I will either completely focus on those things and completely ignore everything else, or I will 100% avoid them and procrastinate really hard. And those extremes were things that I tried really hard to avoid this year. I worked on putting together a daily routine that left me time in the morning for myself, time during the day to work, and then time in the afternoons and evenings to spend with my boyfriend. And working on that type of routine has been something that I've spent a lot of time this year working on, and by the end of the year it's actually gotten so much better. It's not perfect, but it's such a better balance than I think I've had ever. Basically, I am much better at separating my work from my home life. I'm much better at being able to wind down in the evenings, and that's not always the case, but it's better, right? So what I'm looking for is progress, not like perfection, right? That's one of those inspirational quotes you see in planners, but I think that it is pretty true, and I saw progress this year. So I'm excited to sit down and think about a word for next year. And when I actually choose the word over on the right hand page, I wanted to make it super decorative. So I added a lot of flowers at the top. I added some at the bottom here. And then I used these balloon letter stickers from the Life is a Party sticker book to spell out word of the year. And then here I'm going to draw in a box so that I can make that word front and center. And when I pick it, I will go through and letter it in nicely with some calligraphy or maybe some bubble letters. I'm not sure yet, but I want it to look nice. So I left myself plenty of space for that. And then at the bottom, in the power sheets, once you pick your word of the year, they prompt you to explain why. So then once I sketch in this box to center my word of the year at the bottom, I included the prompt why I chose this word and space to write out what I was thinking when I picked it. And I just wrote that with my Inkjoy jelly roll because I didn't want that to be, at least aesthetically, like a center point of the page. So I kept it fairly small and not like bold with the brush pen. This next page, I'm always unsure exactly how to approach this kind of prompt, but I wanted to leave space to at least try it. So the power sheets prompts you to create a vision board for the year, and I don't know exactly what I want to do with this. This might be something I film. This could be fun, especially if I decide to find some pictures and like print and cut things, which I've never done. I have never actually put together a vision board. I feel like I don't know where to start, but I want to try it. So I am going to be working on an outline, so I kind of border prompt page for that on this spread. And then I realized that I actually have this book that's all about goal setting. So this is my, what is it called? Live Creatively sticker book. And it's from the Plan a Happy Life launch from the Happy Planner, which is all about goal setting and like planning things to get you where you want to be. And so I thought that some of the stickers in that sticker book would actually be very applicable here and that they would fit quite well. So I pulled some of the stickers that I knew I probably wouldn't use in a spread because of how much space they took up. For example, this long sticker, Goal, Plan, Evaluate, Repeat. I can't imagine when or where I would want to put that in a planner, but it was very applicable to stick it into this spread. So I decided to add it there in the lower left-hand corner just to have a like decorative piece. And I am only just now realizing that I misspelled the word vision. There's an I missing. I had the book in front of me. I had the prompt. I still misspelled the word vision. It's fine. But do note that if you follow along with any portion of this, that's misspelled. But I used the same kind of balloon stickers that I used for the word of the year to make this title. I thought that would be fun. Like, I don't know, it's like a party, like celebrating the new year and goals and like, I don't know, new routines and stuff. So I thought that would be a fun element to keep up with. I did start to run out of letters that I needed, so I pieced some together. Here I'm taking the letter C and then I cut off a piece of, I think it was a J or maybe an L. And I'm just going to kind of stick it there to complete the letter so it looks kind of like an O. It's not perfect, it's not seamless, but I think it works just because the letter style has little bends and twists to them because they're balloons, so it kind of works. I also had to piece together the letter R from a P and another letter, I think part of a T. But here I am about to misspell the word board again, so I picked that up to add the A that I was missing, and then I finished with an R and a D. I hope that's how you spell it. Yeah, pretty sure. Everything looks weird when you look at it long enough. So there was that, and then I knew that I wanted this to be a 2-page spread. I wanted space, especially if I did decide to take the time to put pictures and really make this like an art piece. I wanted space. So I left the whole rest of the left-hand page blank, and then I knew I wanted to bring in the right-hand page. I added a sticker at the bottom that says plans are dreams in the making, and then one more long sticker that I wasn't sure I'd ever fit into a regular planner spread. And it says happy to be you with the prompts I am enough, I am worthy, I am strong, I am beautiful, I am smart, I believe I am ... I deserve ... I want to be ... you do you. And then the last one is real is beautiful and so am I. Also in this sticker book, they had these little like winner ribbons that I know I would never put in a planner spread because they're prompts. Like today I stuck to the plan and I made healthy choices today. And sure, those things might happen, but one, I'm 100% not going to remember to go to this sticker book to pull them when they happen to happen. And the odds that I have left enough space on a spread for one of these large medallions is very unlikely. And they're so bright. Like, this is a very specific color palette, and so I'm not just going to want to stick them into a random spread. But I'm also not going to necessarily pre-plan these and decide, okay, this week I'm going to earn my got out of bed today ribbon or whatever. But I did think that it would be nice to have a spread in this goal setting section of my journal to like write down when I do these things, and to occasionally go back and maybe jot a line or two down for like, when I do this, does it help me, and things like that. So what I'm doing here is breaking up the 2 pages into 6 columns, not 6 columns, 6 like rectangle areas, so that I can put a prompt in each. So the first couple I've said, today I stuck to the plan, got out of bed another day. This next sticker is for I made a new friend. And then we have I made healthy choices today, followed by I practiced kindness. And then the last one on this page is I am so full of gratitude today. Over on the right hand page, I start off with I told my inner critic to shut up, followed by I set a healthy boundary, followed by I chose me today, followed by I fell down and got back up, and then I checked all the stuff off my list. That's a wild one. I think that happens to me like once every couple of months. I tend to make overly long to-do lists, but that's okay. I make them largely to remember, not necessarily to complete every single thing, because it all has to happen today. And then for some extra decoration or extra notes, I added the last few medals on that page so that I could get rid of it and rip it out of my sticker book. And no matter what I do, this whole video, I feel like my voiceover has been a little weird. Like, the quality is not fantastic, and I do apologize if you noticed that or if it has bothered you up until this point. I can't figure out exactly what I'm doing wrong in this particular voiceover, or if it's always like that and I've never noticed before. So yeah, I can't figure that out, but if you notice it, I notice it too, and I don't know what's going on. But we're almost at the end. So this last section, I left space to actually set the goals. All this time, we've kind of been building up towards deciding what goals to pick, and I left myself space for 6 goals. I think that the power sheets last year left you space for 8. That just felt like too much to me. I did not get through all 8, and so I thought that 6 would be better and more, I don't know, just like more achievable. So I'm going to use 2 pages here, and on the left hand side I'm dividing my page into 3 sections, and I added some washi tape at the top. This is from one of the Coffee Monster Co.'s pre-sales. I think their summer pre-sale, and it's really cute. It's a little neighborhood washi with lots of little houses and emojis peeking out of windows and doors and things, and it's really nice. So I put that up at the top, and I'll put it on the top of the next page as well, just to add some decoration. And here I am leaving myself space for 6 goals. So I'm just going to letter those in with some color coding. So I bring back my Power Sheets color coding sticker book, and I'm pulling some flags. So I put some purple, a blue, a green, a peach, a red, and a fuchsia. These colors in no way match up to any portion of what I did for the life evaluation section. They are just here. They're completely separate. So when I actually go into color code goals, I will probably color code by these 6 colors here, not those other 8 colors for the life evaluation. That was just for decoration. This is probably what I will use for color coding. And so now I'm just lettering in goal 1, goal 2, goal 3, goal 4, goal 5, and goal 6. And then at the top, I'll write what the goal is, and then I'll probably journal a little bit about why I want to do that goal or a few steps for how I want to do that goal, but nothing near the kind of action plan setup that the PowerSheets typically uses. But that is the last page. So I'm actually going to stop the time lapse now so that I can take you through the final flip through. Alright, so here we are back at the very front, and I'm just going to flip through. So we've got the goal ideas spread, the what fires me up spread, the cultivated life evaluation, the moving past fear spread, the things that worked and the things that did not work in this past year, lessons I've learned and people I'm grateful for, a brainstorm for my word of the year, and then a page to center it, a 2-page spread vision board, a section for little accomplishments and goals, and then a 2-page layout to hold 6 yearly goals. Alright, and if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!